Hey, 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 everyone. Welcome back to Serenity Now. It is Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. Pacific time out here in California. Giving it a moment here. We're going to let some people come on. If you are on this and I'm not seeing you, let me know because I'm not seeing anything move. There we go. Hi, Amy. All right, cool. All right, we're live. We're for real, for real. And man, you guys, I have a new setup and this light is bugging me. So if I'm washed out to you, I apologize ahead of time. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Karen. Oh, man. What a day. What a day. Hi, Jay. Welcome back to Serenity Now. I am Jonteshia, your host. We are here for our second episode of the topic is sexual abuse, the judicial system, how to spot the signs, how to make it less taboo in the home, and to be encouraged that when you do see some of those things going on, that you take courage and you step forward and you help the victims in the situation. So we have a mini series. I think we're going to go four episodes, I think, and hopefully I doubt we'll cover everything in 4 episodes, but I'm hoping that we can cover a lot in 4 episodes over the next couple weeks. So I thank you and I appreciate every single one of you for being here and spending time with us, sharing your stories, tuning into the conversation. Don't forget to hit that bell to get all the notifications. Like and subscribe. Share this video, like this video. Don't forget to follow me on my personal profile, Jonteshia. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's begin with our serenity prayer. Dear Lord, please grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Because there is nothing in this world that we can control other than ourselves, our thoughts, and our actions. And I think once we figure that out and gain some understanding of other people, I think we can have some more peace, love, and understanding. Lord, I just pray that you open all the ears and all the hearts and all the eyes and understanding of those who are here with us, that we may receive all that is for us, that I receive all the correct words and the right words for the people who are listening. And I pray that this breaks down some walls, and I pray that it makes some hard hearts into hearts of flesh, and that there's some healing, and that there's some understanding, and that there's some forgiveness, and that there's some moving forward progress. In Jesus' name, thy will be done. Amen. All right. So I'm going to say hello here on the side. Hey, Tracy. Hi, Karen. Hey, Chris, Jade, Doris, and Robin. Nice to have you. Thank you for being here. And if I haven't seen your comment yet, I apologize. All right, let's get into this, you guys. My first guest is Jen. She was with us last week. She is the parent. She's the mother of a child survivor who had to go through the court systems as well. So we are going to bring her on and thank her for her story. Hi, Jen.
Hi, guys.
How are you doing? You're in Texas, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
How's it go? How's everything out there?
Beautiful, beautiful. No fires here, so that's, I know. It's really nice out here. We actually have some pretty good weather this week, so I'll take it.
Yeah, better than smoke in the air and clogging the lungs and burning my eyeballs.
And I'm not sweating constantly, so like I said, that's good news for us.
Yes, our heat wave is over now, so we're doing all right. Well, I want to say thank you again for joining us for the second episode, for the second week, for this heavy topic, and for sharing your story with us. If you could remind some of our new viewers, or give a small brief overview of your story, your backstory, where you're from, what your story is, so that they know who you are, get reintroduced to you, and then jump right into your first topic.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for having me back. So I am a stepmother to a little girl that was living a really, really hard life. When I met my husband, he had very little contact with his daughter when we discovered that there was a lot going on that mom and the family all knew about. So then that kind of prompted a really big court battle and a lot of hard nights. And she was 9, she's 16 now. So, like I said, this really hit home for me. And I just really wanted to share everything, kind of hopefully let other parents out there know that you can do something and you should do something. That's kind of what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to hit a couple topics on how to talk to your kids, things to look for as a parent or a step parent, aunt, uncle, grandparent, the emotional part of it, which is huge, and then what to do. Now what do you do? How do you report it? How do you deal with it? How do you heal and move on so you're not stuck there? So I'll kind of go over those. And then feel free to leave comments. I'm using my phone, so I can't see the comments as we're going, but hopefully I'll be able to go back if there's anything I don't actually touch on. So my number one thing.
One second. I'm going to bring Nikki out here also, so she could be a part of this as well.
Awesome.
I apologize.
No, you're fine.
And let's welcome Nikki. Hey, Nikki. Did you mute yourself? You did.
Hi, everybody.
There we go.
Thanks.
And also, if you could do the same thing, give a little refresher of who you are and what your background is.
I am working with Anthony and Cash through Streetlights, and then I met Jonteshia, and we started talking and thought it would be good to do a series on this. I've worked in the criminal justice system as a victim witness advocate for quite a few years. So I dealt with victims of violent crimes, and that includes sexual abuse, rape, and that's my background. I was the liaison between the prosecutor and the victim or victims' families. So yeah, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yes, no, thank you. I appreciate you for sharing your experience and your expertise in this. I'm pretty sure it was a heavy position to have, watching everyone come in and come out and hearing everybody's stories, which reminds me, I also want to give a brief heads up to everyone who is watching that there might be some trigger subjects. So listen with an open heart, but with a guarded heart. Protect yourself as we go. Yeah. I know that, again, it's a heavy subject. It's a deep subject. It might be something that you haven't visited in quite some time, or maybe you're an empath and you feel deeply when you're listening to other people talk and you connect to those stories. So grab a box of tissues, sit with someone, but just a heads up, a precaution that there might be some triggers in this conversation over the next couple weeks. All right. Thank you, Nikki, for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. And Jen, your first topics were noticing the signs and how to process with family. Yes? Something like that.
Yes, something kind of in there. I did note, so I can hopefully stay focused for you guys today. I think the number one thing that I want to put out there for any adult is make sure the children that are in your lives are comfortable talking to you. I know as a child, it's always been one of those really quiet things we don't talk about. It's been kind of hush hush. And nowadays it is more common. It's out there and we're exposing it and recognizing that it's a big problem. Take down that barrier for your kids. Let them know you could talk to me about anything. There's no secret you need to keep from me. You'll always be safe talking to me. And even bring it up. Just say, hey, if you ever are in a situation where somebody does something, you tell me. Don't expect them to always come to you because they're scared. So make sure that it's something that you have talk to them about casually, like, hey, you can talk to me about anything, and then sit down and actually have the kind of hard, awkward conversation of, if this ever happens, has ever happened, letting them know that they can talk to you, and you've already kind of initially ripped that Band-Aid off, so they don't have to bring it up to you. Not all kids are going to come out and tell you. Signs to look for. I've done a lot of research on signs because I did have a parent at the last little thingy chat we did asking, what signs. There's so many signs. Every child's different. It's really hard to pinpoint it. My child, where I can speak from my personal experience, she was very angry, emotionally very unstable, hitting herself, pulling her hair. She would carry a mirror around and say how disgusting she was, because that's how she viewed herself. That was a huge red flag for us. But that might not be all kids. Some children tend to over-sexualize and become very sexually oriented. Anger, like I said, lack of appetite, fearful sleeping, maybe a child's potty trained, but now they're starting to go back to it. So these are all things that could be tied to a bunch of other issues, but it could be related to that sexual abuse. So just watch your child, watch for changes, and then feel comfortable talking to them when you see those changes. So your kids better than anyone. So just watch them. The next thing I'm going to talk about is, understanding and validating their emotions. These kids have no idea what's happened to them. They don't understand the emotions that are attached to it. We kind of talked a little bit about the guilt part of it. And a non-victim has no idea why. They can't understand, why would these children feel guilty? They didn't do anything wrong. They do. They feel bad. They feel like they're going to be in trouble. They're scared, whether they were threatened or not threatened. They understand something happened that shouldn't have. So be very understanding of your child's emotions through this, regardless of what they are. Validate them, like, hey, this is okay. You're allowed to feel this way. We're going to get through this. Let's see. And then my thing was, now what? Okay, now you know that your child's been molested. What do you do? And there's a couple different avenues depending on what your situation is. Is the child still in that situation? Are they at risk again? If they are, call the cops. Get a police report. I am huge for paper trails. So once you make that police report, get an incident number from that police officer. There's not going to, there might not be an arrest at that moment, but once you've talked to them, they've created a case file, an incident report. So you will have that. Get the officer's name, write down the date and time you called, follow up, make sure something's happening. If the child has to go back for that to, say it's another parent's or whatever, have a welfare check done on the house. Just say, hey, I believe this is going on. I'm going to send the child back because of the court order, whatever it is, but I'd like a welfare check. I want to make sure that there's no, pornography or whatever in the home. Contact CPS if the child's still going to be in there, or if there's other children. Same thing. Get that paper trail. Get the person's name, the date, the time of the call. And then if you are the parent in there, go to the court, file paperwork, get something going. And then now you've got all those other paper trails with the police department, CPS, whatever you need with your court paper. Don't wait. If this is an actual thing going on, this is an emergency. Make sure the court knows that. Don't file paperwork and wait 3 months. Immediate action for them. Not all children are going to be exposed to that again. So there is also, what do I do if this was a one-time thing? They were at an aunt's house for the summer vacation and an uncle did it or something, and they're not going to be back there. But, your child's safe now. Now what do you do? in my experience, these kids do not want to deal with it. They don't want you to go to the authorities. They don't want you to say anything. It's like, okay, I told you, please don't do anything. Please don't say anything. So what do? My recommendation, and this is just again from my personal experience, is you need to explain to your child the repercussions of not doing anything. The person who did this has a problem, and they're going to continue that problem with other children unless we do something. Make your child that advocate for other children. You know, hey, we've got to do this so no one else gets hurt. I'm really, really big on not stopping, go further, push further, get the cops involved and say, hey, this happened, but that person's still over there and they might be hurting other children. Don't just sweep it under the rug and not deal with it and just say, okay, well, we'll talk about it at home. Or now we know. You knowing is great, but you knowing doesn't stop this cycle. And in most cases, this is a cycle. So do something. Make sure your child understands why you have to do something. And then, again, don't stop there. Your kids went through a lot. They need help. So when we went through something called Victims of Crime. And we were turned onto it by the court system. They actually let us know about it. And it is an organization set up for victims of crimes, whether it's sexual abuse, domestic violence. My daughter, in this case, received free counseling because of everything that she was exposed to and witnessed to. For almost 3 years, she went to counseling 4 times a month to try to help her deal with this and understand it. And, you know, fast forward years, here we are, we're still in counseling. We're still dealing with it. So don't think that just because you know that it's over. You knowing is step one, in my opinion. You've got to keep pushing. We've got to stop this. Your child needs to know that you're on their team. You're going to have their back. None of this is their fault. But together, now that you know, you're going to keep them safe, and the two of you or the whole family are going to, you know, be on their side and do everything they can to kind of stop this. So hopefully I kind of hit everything I wanted to and got some information out there. Again, the website you can go to is Victims of Crime. They are the one that offers the counseling. I do believe they have other resources available. I've only used the counseling for my child, but that is super, super important. I really definitely recommend everybody who's experienced that get their kid involved, even if your kid is not very willing to. You want to kind of give them that little push because they don't really understand what's best for them at this point, and that's what they need you there for. So
Is that a .com, .org, .net?
Oh, you know what? Let me
Crime.
Victims of Crime. Let's see. .gov, I believe. I used it. Okay, I used it through California because that's where we were at the time. And when I went back on to kind of look it up, it automatically popped it up again for me in Texas as a .gov. But it was really easy process to get her in. We got same thing as it's like a normal counselor. We got to select our own counselor. We got to meet with them. It was great. I mean, it was a huge resource, especially with all the expenses we had wrapped up in court. Counseling isn't cheap, and 4 times a month is a lot. So, yeah. I mean, that it was so helpful for our family. So,
for sure. No, thank you. That's all good information to have. I'm actually going to share some stats with you, and then I'm also going to share there's a retreat that I'm going to share with you also, but some stats here. So an estimated 1 in 5 children is sexually abused before the age of 18. Educating yourself is the first step to preventing and ultimately eradicating this epidemic. Let's see. Children who what can lead to who are most at risk are between the ages of 7 and 13. That's both boys and girls. Children with disabilities, and 34% of technology will lead to unexpected exposure to sexual content, not necessarily sexual behavior, but sexual content or close to it. Let's see. As well as these children, they don't fully comprehend what's going on, but they know something wrong happened. And also some other stats that I know that a lot of what we're talking about, because of Jen's experience, is child sexual abuse, but women, adults, and men also experience these things. And those stats are nearly nearly 1 in 5 women have experienced complete or attempted rape during her lifetime. 1 in 3 female rape victims experienced it for the first time between 11 and 17 years old. 1 in 8 female rape victims reported that it occurred before age 10. And then for men, like this was, I know it happens to men, but when you hear the statistics, it breaks your heart, because they don't talk about it. You know what I mean? You think women don't talk about it, but men really don't talk about it. Nearly 1 in 38 men. 1 in 38 men have experienced complete or attempted rape during his lifetime. 1 in 4 male rape victims experienced it for the first time between 11 and 17. So it's really not much different than women. They just don't talk about it. About 1 in 4 male rape victims reported it that it occurred before age of 10. And that's 1 in 4 girls. These are little girls, and 1 in 13 boys. That's 9.3 billion total cost in the United States, the cost of child sexual abuse. That's crazy. It's real, but it's crazy, and it happens to both men, women, children, both, to all, most. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nikki, what I know that you working in the courts as an advocate for the families going in and out of court, we're kind of piggybacking off some of what Jen had talked about the different signs and the different things. What did you notice? I mean, because you got to them after the fact, yeah?
Right. When they come to the prosecutor's office, the charges are already filed, although there are times when families across the board, any violent crime, but specifically sexual abuse, sometimes they would just stop in to talk to somebody in the victim witness division. Every prosecutor's office, I mean, every state is different, but and I think that's what Jen was saying about something about crime victims unit or something. We call it prosecutor's office here. In California, it's called the DA's office. It's the same thing. They have a unit where they have assistants, advocates that help families, and they give families, victims, they give them resources. So when I would talk with victims, it was initially they come in so we can meet them and build a relationship with with the kids, whether it's an adult, it's a male or female, and that's how the system is set up here in Lake County, Indiana. And that's how the case would start, and that's where I would meet them. On the rare occasion, if they needed resources, they would just stop in with a parent or aunt or uncle would stop in and say, I think this is happening. What do I do next? So I would just, depending on the scenario, but basically it's initially everyone needs to file a police report. it's a child protective services. But calling the police initiates the investigation, and there has to be an investigation before any charges are filed. That
It's a
investigation
process.
and that investigation can take a while. The laws have changed now to where even if you're molested when you're younger, um, some people just suppress it and they remember it later on in life. And but we still in Indiana the law changed where even if it's 10 years later, we have people in their 50s and 60s that are going back and testifying in cases that happened to them when they were teenagers.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I was coming in.
What would you say is the most noticeable difference in the survivors, in them, in their character, in their demeanor, in the way they spoke or they held themselves? What would you say the most obvious one of them overall would be when they finally came to you was?
Children.
Did you see a majority of children over adults, or was it even?
There's so much crime in Lake County. I dealt with a lot of rapes, men and women, and I dealt with a lot of child molestings. More girls, but a lot of boys as well. And that is only because boys, don't want to talk about it.
Right.
But every victim, we at the office we use the terminology victim because that's in legally, I think that's how the judge would not say, are you calling the survivor? The judge
Right.
says, are you
Right.
calling the victim next? So that's where I'm getting this terminology.
Process, yeah.
When the case is over, they're a survivor. Okay.
Got it.
So I think, I mean, everyone was different. There was a rape case, and that I just finished up in May with a young girl, and I blacked out, even though she's an adult, I blacked out her name. She in This is called an information, and that's the statute. That's how it's all charged.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the statute right here where it says Indiana Code.
Mm-hmm.
That's what things are charged under. This is a probable cause affidavit. So when the police department, okay, let's say I go in, I don't have children, but if I had a child, okay, my child is molested, blah, blah, blah. They have enough evidence to file a case. The police department takes their file to the prosecutor's office, and what they do is they have to have probable cause to actually file charges. And probable cause simply means they have enough to issue a warrant at that time. Not it's then the investigation keeps going, and hopefully it ends in a conviction.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm listening.
I can't hear Jen.
Sorry.
I muted myself because I was coughing earlier. I'm sorry.
I was like, wait a minute.
I
didn't mute you.
I have a question for you, Nikki. When you were talking about the statute, without giving too much information, say the molester was a family member, and that family member is now deceased, but the spouse of that family member was aware of it and allowed it to go on. Are there any legal ramifications against that other person, or since they didn't actually do it?
I mean, here in Indiana, we would use that person as a witness for us. we would not charge them with a crime. They would be used as a witness. Like, did you know this? Did you see it? What did you know? We would subpoena them to come to court.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
No, that's
sorry.
No,
Just my brain.
The questions are good.
My wheels
the
were
questions
turning.
are good
Yeah.
because if you might have a question that someone else wants to know and they're not sure how to ask it, so on and so forth. So if you guys have the viewers, if you're listening and something comes up and you have questions, please feel free to put them in the side so that we can address them. Which one of us can address them that way? Again, like I seen this, thank you ladies for talking about this. Not many people like to educate on this topic because it's it's very heavy. It brings back a lot of memories of our childhood if we're adults now, and they're triggers, and it brings up a lot of emotional things, and we as human beings don't like to deal most of us don't like to deal with emotional things. It's especially things that are painful or that they're hurt, things that make us feel vulnerable and gross and icky. We don't like to revisit those things, even though visiting those things is where the healing is. And so so if you have questions, there's no question that is ridiculous. You answer the question and we will touch on them. So
and if anyone wants to message me privately, they can. I do advocacy work and things like that. So please, you can find me on Street Lights working with Anthony and Cash as well. But if you want to send me a messenger because it is private, confidential, please feel free. Whether it's domestic violence or sexual abuse or rape or a murder case, please reach out, okay.
I guess this question kind of goes under. Okay, so Brittany wants to know, is there a law? I don't know if you kind of just answered this, but is there a law for someone that neglects to report? For me, I am a mandated reporter, but is there a law that holds others liable that was aware of it happening? Which is kind of what you asked, right?
Yeah.
To report or to, your question wasn't to report, was it, Jen?
Well, I was saying, like, can somebody who was aware of the situation and allowed it, is there any ramifications that can be taken against them? Like, in my situation, Grandpa was doing something and Grandma was very aware of it. So is there any consequences that person should have? And in this situation, Mom was also a victim. So it kind of, it trickled downhill from the man in the house. But my thing is, like, what can we do for outside people? It's like, hey, Grandma, you know that this man is doing this to your child. Now he's doing it to your grandchild. And is there any way or a process to eventually get it to where that person can be held accountable? It's kind of like, I didn't necessarily murder that guy, but I was part of it and I didn't stop
Accomplice.
Yes.
That's known as felony murder. If you're with someone, that's felony murder. But that's different. In the state of Indiana, every state, 35 or 40 states have felony murder, which is if the three of us go to commit a robbery and somebody dies in the commission of that robbery, all three of us are going to be charged with murder. That's felony murder. But in this case, like I just said, we would use the grandmother as a witness. Yeah, we would not charge her unless she was watching pornography with the victim, unless she took part in it, something like that.
Okay, so they actually have to physically do something.
And that's just, like I said, here in Lake County.
Yeah.
Is the case still pending?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, ours is not. But I feel like the more I'm kind of getting involved in this, there's so much family that is a part of the molestation. And it never seems to be that another family isn't aware. Somebody always seems to know. And it's kind of like, at what point are these knowing family members who aren't necessarily doing it going to be held accountable, like, hey, you've allowed someone to molest every child in your family for the last 30 years, and have some sort of ramifications come against them. Like, if I watch somebody molest a child and I don't do anything, I should have some consequences, but
teachers.
I mean, that could just be the emotional mom and me going like, oh, but, and I think that was kind of the other girl's question is what, she's a reporter, but what about these people who aren't legally obligated to report, who are just watching it happen? But it doesn't seem like there's anything negative that can come up to those.
Well, I think we'd have to look into like state, county laws, what they say and how they're different or whatnot. But I think that also brings up a very important like wake up call. You know what I mean? Like if yes.
I just, before I forget, I mean, honestly, you can start the process of trying to change laws. Start writing to your councilman, then to your state representative, then to your congressman or woman. You see what I mean? Okay, got it. I'm sorry.
Well,
I didn't want to forget because it's so
no, that's good information.
Take action. We can.
Well, and that's kind of along the lines of where I was going. Like, it brings up a very good, a valid point that if we already don't know what each state's requirements are or what the law is concerned around these situations and the abusers, right? Then we, the people who have the power to change this or to make it more in your face or make our government, you know what I mean? The people in authority, well aware that we have a standard that we want to keep, and that we want them to apply that. So again, are there many systems in this country? And I'm obviously, because we're just in the United States, and because I'm not even going to touch on all the other countries in the world. Okay, I'm not even going to go there. But in the United States, like that, there are many systems that need reforming or repairing or reworking. But that takes the people. It takes the unity of the people to come together and to stand for it in order for that to change. Because if we don't do something about that, if we don't speak up about those things, then the people who are already in office, if they stay in office or they stay where they're at, then nothing's going to change.
Right.
And only the people who are combative, or if they want a certain thing to happen and they push that, and these people, you know what I'm saying? Like, we, the people, need to stand up together to make the changes in the world that reflect our moral standards right now.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, go ahead. I mean, I have, this topic can be talked about, for a long time.
Definitely.
I guess the one thing that Jen said that I wanted to talk about for a second, when a parent is trying to talk to their child about, we talked about body parts, okay, and to call them the proper name.
Good. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. Do you want me to?
I was going to ask you to reiterate it, because I know there's got to be some new viewers or whatnot, to just reiterate that and then go on. So I think that was perfect that you brought that up.
Yeah. Okay. When a parent or whoever the guardian is, legal guardian, has a child that's curious, or just teach your children proper body parts names. Your vagina is your vagina, your penis is your penis, your breasts are your breasts, and so on and so forth. And the other thing that's really important is, and I guess I'm just going to say it, when talking about sex, you don't want a child to feel like sex is bad or wrong. It's, with someone they love. But I guess the other thing is, when you're trying to inform them and teach them, maybe something will come up and they have a question on the television, or if they're reading a book. I mean, to kind of spring it on them, it would raise a red flag to the child. These are tips that I've just learned in my your training sessions and things like that. I mean, you can use, I mean, it might even be their own behavior, you know, if they're doing something that would cause you to bring it up, you know, or maybe there's something in the media. If you have a story, tell them your own story. Things like that. Just tips like that.
So I wanted to bring this up real quick. Kristen
Yeah.
says yes, but you also need to know why there are not laws like that already in place, because usually there is a reason. You also do not want to hold the government accountable for society's moral compass. Okay, totally get where you're coming from, but that's not what I meant. I didn't mean putting. So what I meant by that is that right now, okay, how do I break this down? We don't know why there are not laws in place like that already for holding people who knew about the abuse happening, why there's not laws in place right now for that. I don't know. In my mind, I think, well, why not? Well, if we can hold people as accomplices to other laws that are broken,
Yep.
why are we not? Why is it not the same when it comes to
Rape.
you know, taking advantage of someone else when, I mean, basically that's taking property that doesn't belong to them.
Right.
Taking something that isn't theirs, and there's people who know about it. They are accomplices to this action. And so if we're able to hold other people in other things that are laws that are broken, like robbing a bank or killing someone or attempting to, or arson, or all of these millions of other things, I don't understand on that level why there wouldn't be something in place specifically for a physical assault in this manner or aptitude when it comes to children and or adults. So I'm just, my mind just wonders why there wouldn't be, or what the reason would be that there isn't a law for that. And on the second half of that, you don't want to hold the government accountable for society's moral compass. That's why there's checks and balances on, you know, what the right thing to do is. Because just because we can do something doesn't mean it's right. And what I meant by, if right now the law doesn't reflect what the majority of the standard is right now, the majority of what most of us would want to see, for example, as holding someone as accomplice to something like this, then I don't know. In my mind, I don't see that as wrong for a majority of us to come together as one to get something like that into the law. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying, I mean, isn't the government there to implement what the people have asked for, but also there's checks and balances? So it's like, well, you can't go that far, so let's go to the next level that is just as good. Help me out, Nikki. I'm not sure. No. Oh, you're muted, Nikki.
In all the years I've been doing this, society just does not want to accept that there is child molesting, there's rape. They don't want to accept it. Is it getting better? Sure, it's getting better. Like here in Lake County, it's gotten better, but boy, it's a long way to go. I mean, there are, it's just, yeah. Here, like here in Lake County where I worked, it was the unless that person was involved with the pornography or like we talked about anything like that, we would call it flip them. We would flip them and they would testify against the defendant, the person that's charged. And that's how we got a conviction on the person who actually did the penetration, the molestation, the rape. You see what I mean? And that was more important than.
Well, that was the nurse who was the witness?
No. No, I don't know anything about that.
What did you just say? You said a nurse.
No, I said that was more important.
No, before that. What did you say before that?
I said we would flip them and they would testify against the defendant.
Oh,
Yeah. The suspect, the defendant. Yeah.
yeah. So you had
Right.
mentioned something earlier about school teachers or whatnot, and I know that there are some positions, some positions like teachers or doctors, nurses, psychiatrists, so on and so forth, that part of their job requirements or part of their like employee laws or whatever is that they have to, if they suspect something, right, they have a moral obligation to report it, and that's because of
Legally,
what they
have
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, legally and morally, I would say.
Yeah.
If only everybody morally felt responsible. But
Yeah.
but that's my point. You know what I mean? Like there
Yeah.
are some positions that require you legally, if you notice something, to report it.
Right.
If only society was like that, on
Right.
that level.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. No,
What
I
were some
agree.
of the other things because you had said you wrote down some notes, so there's a couple things, some key things for today. What are some of the other things that you wanted to hit on?
Going back to the, like, if your child, if you suspect something, um, if you suspect something, you can always get a doll and, ask your child if your child is saying things that is causing you to think, okay, it's a red flag. You can always get a doll and have your child point to the places where the child was touched, things like that. If you ever have if anyone is suspecting anything and there's any evidence, clothes, anything that the perpetrator may have touched or anything, call the police so they can come and put it in a bag, an evidence bag. If not, you can, if it's late in the evening and let's say you find a pair of underwear, just grab something, get a plastic Ziploc bag or a bag and put them in there if you suspect that might be evidence. Just little things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, let's say, because again, we're going back to a lot of these crimes are done by a family member. So let's say the cousin sneaks in the door and takes your child's panties off and the panties are laying on the floor. The next day you're going to find them.
Yeah.
There might be, something on there.
Mm-hmm.
So just little things like that.
I seen somewhere also this one. Sarah said, I'm glad people are waking up. So how do we change it and where do we start? And I think education is the first place that we start. Being aware, being educated, conversations like this, helping each other know what to look for or to be more aware of what's going on. And now that's not to incite like fear, to fear into people of not letting them be around anybody or anything like that, but just to be aware of your surroundings, which is I think a natural thing that we should learn as individuals anyways, is to be aware of your surroundings. Because I don't know how many stories I've heard when I was younger about women walking home from, it might be dark outside, they just went shopping or whatever, and they're not paying attention, they're going from the store to their car, and it might be a little bit dark or whatnot, and they're not paying attention to what's around, and someone comes up from behind. So when I say that, I mean, like, just to be aware of your surroundings. My husband's in the military, and I learned that before I met him, to be aware. And if you're walking somewhere, you want to make sure you look like you're paying attention to something, that like you're not distracted, like you're not on the phone being distracted, or you are on the phone with someone who is aware of where you're at and what you're doing and who you're with. Playing with your keys so they know that you're actively doing something, and that also will deter people who are watching you. But to be aware of those things, because how often are we distracted and we miss a million things going on. And I also seen, and this is a little Little slide.
Can I jump in 1 second? Even if women try not to wear a ponytail if you're alone, don't have your earbuds in. Just be aware of your surroundings. Yeah.
Yes, being aware. Let me see. So I wanted to address this real quick. California.
It's I read the whole. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So California just approved sex with a 10-year-old. How is state government getting better? So what I will say, I'm going to read you what I've been posting in response to this because that's not what it says.
It's not true. Yeah.
I'm not agreeing with the bill, but it states that the previous law regarding sex with the minor does not change. It is adding sexual preference, an example, anal and oral, to the list to specifically bring equality to LGBTQ youth when participating in a consensual relationship or sex from having to register if there is an offense claimed, for example, a parent having an issue with said relationship and presses charges. The original law still stands that a 14 plus within 10 years, if offense is claimed, it is up to the judge whether said offender must register as a sex offender or not. It's case by case basis. The problem is that the verbiage is very vague and the tolerance needle keeps moving. Pedophilia as an orientation is an example. 14 is still too young to make an appropriate decision when it comes to sex. 15 is still too young. 16 is too young. 17 is still pushing it. The whole law needs to be, and this is kind of what I was saying earlier, the whole law needs to be fixed. It's not like back in the day when 15-year-old youth were ready for marriage and children. The law needs to reflect the change of its people. Anyways, humans fail all the time and make bad decisions, and then there are those humans who enable. So that law does not give permission for people to have sex or relations or whatever with people, with minors. That has not changed. So if you continue to see people posting that, it's actually false. That's not what it's saying.
Right.
I read you what it just said. Because believe me, when I first seen it, I also lost my mind for a moment. So then I had to really look it up and research it to make sure I understood what was really going on. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm not like I said, that line keeps getting blurred, and if we're not careful, that will happen. Let me see. Yeah, that's what we were saying. Be aware of your surroundings so as not to appear as a victim. Protect yourself as much as possible. If you don't have to go somewhere by yourself all the time, don't go by yourself. Go with someone.
Yep.
That's what I tell all. That's what I tell my kids, my daughters, or my nieces and their friends, because they're in high school now, and so every time I run into any young woman, a young lady, one of the first things I always tell them is, don't go to that party by yourself. You're going to leave with who you came with, which are your girlfriends. Yeah. I don't care how much you like that boy. I don't care how much you think something great's gonna happen. You need to leave with your friends, because trust me, you don't want to stay there.
Yeah.
Make good choices when you're young. I always tell them that, because it's very important. I've been there. I've done that. I did the party scene. I did I was wild when I was younger. I drank a lot. I partied a lot. I was that person. And believe me, I put myself in some really bad situations that I probably would, thank you, God, if it weren't for the grace of God, my mind would be shattered and damaged and broken, and I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you. I should probably be dead a couple times over. So if you're young, if you're young and you're listening to this, or you're sitting with your mom or your dad and you're listening to this, when I know you want to be like, and don't leave your drink and walk away. Definitely don't do that. But if you're listening to this and you're younger and you're sitting with your parents or your aunts or your uncles, and you're catching some of this or whatnot, you'll have adults come and tell you these things, and you're kind of like, yeah, okay. But I'm telling you, when you get our age, you're gonna be like, I should have listened.
Yeah.
I want to so I posted a couple links in earlier. I'll post them again. Cash was supposed to hold on, let me see, where is he? Send it through Messenger. Sorry, Cash is trying to join us. He's been having some technical difficulties.
I'm going to get up for 1 second, okay?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank
Done.
you.
But yes, I am going to bring her down here. Okay, so earlier I shared a couple links. I'm going to share them again. This is defendinnocence.org. This is the website I was telling you about. The Unique Foundation. This is a sister company to the Unique Foundation. This is to help educate parents and with age appropriate verbiage to talk about these subjects with your children. I just posted it in the comments. It's called defendinnocence.org. Yes, period. Period. The Unique Foundation, here it is. The Unique Foundation.org, I believe. Yes, that is for sexual abuse survivors or victims that had experienced it before the age of 18. They offer a retreat. It's called the Haven Retreat for victims of child sexual abuse. I believe it's a 5 to 7 day retreat. It's free. All you have to do is fill out the application, and all you have to do is get yourself there. But this place is where they help victims find healing, how to process what happened to them, and find coping tools now in their life that they might not have received before. But I wanted to share those. I used to be a part of. Sorry, you're muted. I am a former Unique presenter, and one of the things that I loved greatly about them is that they had these foundations, they had these organizations specifically for child sexual abuse or victims of child sexual abuse, and they have information to help with that. So I wanted to share that with you. That was important. And I believe I also shared the CDC. I'll share it again. This is with all of the information and the statistics to help educate yourself. There are a whole bunch of, I'm sure if you look into like your state or your city, there are a whole bunch of other programs that I hope so anyways, that are local to you, that will provide you with the same information and the same different kinds of resources to help you educate yourself and your family, your friends, your nieces, your nephews, or any strangers that you might come across, because this information is so valuable that we need to be sharing it, and then we need to make a stand. And I know someone had asked, where do we start? We start by talking about it.
Yes.
We start by talking about it, and then letting that fire, let that spark happen, and then let the fire blaze, and then take action, standing in for people who can't stand for themselves or aren't fully aware of whether they want to stand up at all. So there he is. Cash is here. We're going to add him in. Hey, dude.
What's going on, everybody?
Hi, Cash.
Hey, Nikki.
And how are you doing, sir?
I am good. A little tired. Freaking computer got me stressed
Hi,
out.
Messiah.
Say hi.
Hi, sweetie. Hi.
He just got done eating pizza, so he's got like pizza face and pizza hands.
That's the best.
Do you like pizza?
5.
Oh,
5. Is that what he said? He's 5?
No, he said 215.
Oh,
He's learning his numbers. He's a smart 2-year-old.
I was like, he's not 5.
we live in the 219, Messiah.
That's right.
219.
He said, look at the 3, holding up 3.
Yes.
Good boy. Oh my goodness. You're so smart. Welcome, Cash. It's good to have you.
Thank you. I'm about to share this right now. My computer is running like crap, man.
Yeah, I had issues last week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that happens when you're trying to spread positivity and encourage people and build them up. It happens.
Satan's gonna attack.
For those of you who don't know, this is Cashley Kelly. He is the founder of the Street Lights Unity Movement. He's doing big things both in the community and also politically for our country. He also has his own story of child sexual abuse when he was younger. And
Hold on. Hold on, buddy. Come on.
aw, so just let him sit down. Just let him stay. It's fine. He has his own story to add, because as we were talking about it before, women are not the only ones who experience it. Girls are not the only ones who experience sexual abuse or assault. So do men and so do boys. Nikki, you look like you had something to say.
No, I just said yes. Yes, they do. Boys.
Okay.
Boys, men, yes.
So I want to say thank you, Cash, for joining us and for being willing to share your story as well. I'm sure there are others who will relate to what you are going to say. So thank you so much.
No problem. You know what's crazy? Before I got on here earlier today, I was with my sister and we were talking about this stuff because I shared a little bit. I opened up and said, that it had happened on Facebook, but never really got into the details of everything. And it happened to me twice. Once when I was 4 or 5, and then another time when I was 7 years old. I'm gonna talk about the one I had when I was 7 because it's something that's well, I don't know how uncommon it is, but you don't really hear about it. My mom used to be a dancer, and my grandfather had passed away, and it was just me and her living in the house. And she got back working like 2 weeks later after my grandfather passed away, and she had a friend that I guess was a dancer too, and she moved her into the house, and yeah, she was there, and I don't know how it was. Me and my sister were talking about it because my sister was like 12, 13 at the time, and she was just out in the streets. We had a different kind of upbringing, and she was just out and about. Like, so I was there either with my mom or with this lady. And this lady, one day I woke up. I don't know if it was day or night. I just remember waking up and this lady's like, you know, doing things to me. And I didn't know what was going on. I'm young, but it was happening. So I'm just like there, and this lady's grown. She's a grown woman.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then had me do things. Like I was laying there and then she was doing something and then she made me do something without me moving. Like she got up like on me, on my face. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then told me how to, where to put my hand, grab my hand and put my hand somewhere where it wasn't supposed to be at the age of 7 years old. And then she sat on top of me after she got me, 7 years old. I got a erection, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And she sat on me, and I guess I lost my virginity when I was 7 years old. And this isn't a story that I've ever told to anybody other than my sister and Erica. And my sister, I love my sister because she's been through the same thing, just with a guy. You know what I'm saying? And me and her, literally, we both almost started crying today talking about stuff. And I had forgotten some things because this lady, she did that one time that I can remember. It's like after that happened, I blacked out a portion of my life from the age of, I'll say 7, 8, 9, around 9 years old. I don't remember a lot in between that time. But one thing I do remember, I had only them two memories that I got of this lady. She was a blonde haired lady. She was living in my house, renting out my sister's room because my sister was, out and about all the time, staying at her friend's house at 13 years old. And it was just me and my mom and her. And when this lady moved in, I remember only waking up and feeling that, like feeling her, like, giving me head. If you be honest, just call it what it is. She was giving me head. I woke up to this grown woman flicking on me. And then when she got up on me, like on my face or whatever, and then had me touching her, and then she had sex with me. The only other memory that I got, and by the way, when that happened, like I didn't have nobody to tell or nobody to talk to because my mom was always gone. And I felt like ashamed or embarrassed, or like I would get in big trouble. Like I was scared that if I told, I'm gonna get in trouble because I know I'm not supposed to be doing this. And it had already happened to me before with a man. You know what I'm saying? Something happened to me growing up that I really don't want to talk about that one. You know what I'm saying? But with this one, I didn't say nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I was scared. The only other memory I got of this lady is like after that, one day I wake up and I want to watch cartoons and I'm already like I hate this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I had a deep hate for her, and she was mean as hell to me too. Like she was just mean. And I woke up to put on cartoons, and this lady comes out of the room, and tries to turn the TV, and I turn it back. I said, "I'm watching cartoons, and this is my house." You know, like she's just barely living here for however long. I don't even know how long she was living there, but I don't think it was long at all. And she kicked me like a karate kick in my chest, knocked the wind out of me. I fell back on the floor, and I start screaming, crying. Like after I catch my breath, and I yell for my mom. My mom comes out, and I tell my mom that she asked me what happened. I said she kicked me in my chest, and my mom went off. My mom like went at this chick and then kicked her out. I was just happy that she was gone. Thought about telling my mom, but at that time, my mom really wasn't the person that I could really talk to. Like she was wild and younger, and I didn't feel safe to even talk to my own mom. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, I was just angry. I was an angry kid, and I had this thing. Like even to this day, I was talking to Erica about it and my sister. I've always had this like resentment. Like this is gonna sound crazy, but I hate strippers. I don't like strippers. And I think that's my subconscious dealing with, first off, that lady that was a stripper that did that to me. She was psychotic. Like my sister was telling me, because I don't got a big, broad memory of her. My sister does. And she said, dude, she was crazy. She was literally like, she was nuts. And because of her, I got this thing with strippers, and then also with my mom, because my mom made me feel, I didn't feel protected. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I just had a negative outlook on strippers. You know what I'm saying? I've been to the strip club twice in my life, and both times, the first time I went, it was peer pressure. I was 16 years old, and I was with my older brother, and he made me go with him. I went, and you know that happened. And then one time when I was grown, I tried to go, and I couldn't. I can never see myself like touching them. I didn't interact with nobody. I stood there and I would drink. You know what I'm saying? I have a couple beers, and I just had to like get up out of there. The strip club has never been my scene, and I've always had like a prejudice towards strippers because of this lady. And I've always had this anger. I remember being like 11, 12 years old and just hating. I had this thing where like I did not like blonde haired, blue-eyed white women. And I really, really disliked strippers. And I would like talk all kinds of crap to my mom at 11 years old. I would talk all kind of crap to her and tell her like I hate her. Like I wish that you would die. Like I hate you. You know what I'm saying? I would say that to my mom being that young, and just I felt like she just wasn't there for me. She didn't protect me. She let this lady do these things to me, even though she defended me when she kicked me in my chest. You didn't defend. Like I think about all the things now as a man talking to my sister today, like all the things that could have happened. Like that lady was a stripper, and I guess she was a prostitute. She was just out there. What if I would have like caught AIDS? Or what if I would have caught herpes? Or what if I would have caught like gonorrhea or some kind of disease, hepatitis, anything from this drug addict, prostituting stripper that woke up one day and just decided that she wanted to do whatever she wanted to do to me. You know what I'm saying? And my mom, I just thought about her and like it was irresponsible for you to let this chick that you don't know, that you just work with at a strip club, come into our house and then watch me while you're gone or sleep or wherever you were. And I was angry at my mom for it, because I'm like, you could have let me die. I could have died. And then you weren't there. And you didn't care to do nothing about it. And it carried over with me like through life. I had this anger towards my mother, had an anger towards white chicks with blonde hair, had a thing like I've never dated any woman that's taller than me, because I don't know how tall this lady was, but as a kid, she was bigger than me, and I felt like if I date a chick that's bigger than me, then she could she could hurt me subconsciously. That's how I felt. And there's a danger, man. I want everybody to know, like, when you have people come into your home, whether they be family, because the thing that happened to me when I was younger than that, a family member that did some things. You know what I'm saying? It was a close family member that did something to me. And you let people come into your home and you're not watching and you're not paying attention to your kids or what's really going on. And at any moment, because I mean, it felt like forever what had happened with old girl, you know, Jeanette. I think her name was Jeanette. It felt like forever. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how long it really was, but it probably wasn't forever. It probably was like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. But there was enough time there for me to be alone for that to happen to me and nobody know. And then with the guy part, you know what I'm saying, when I was younger than that, people were in the house. Like people were home when this stuff was happening. And I'm playing through my house and I'm in the basement playing where I normally would play, you know, playing hide and seek with my cousins or whatever. And it happened to all of us. It happened to me. It happened to my little cousin, you know? And yeah, I mean, that stuff, you don't know. You never know. And it affects people. Like I was an angry dude. I remember punching holes in walls when I was like 8 years old, 9 years old. I remember just having a rage. I was just angry at that point in time. But the farthest back I can remember, like the only memories I got maybe of that age was maybe school, like teachers. I don't have memories of being home from the age of like 7, 8, 9. I don't recall like ever anything that happened at home or, you know, where I was or what I was doing. I remember being in school. I remember, and you know what? You know what? Even after that stuff that happened with that lady, this is what really did the damage to me, man. Because it took me a while to get over it. I'm still not even all the way over it. I still got like this prejudice
Well,
towards
that's
it.
obvious. That's obvious.
Yeah. What really did it for me was after this stuff had happened to me. Mind you, I had just lost my pawpaw. I watched my pawpaw die in front of my face. We had a car accident.
Right.
I did not get to go to school after seeing my pawpaw die. I didn't go to school for about 2 weeks. Barely ate anything. And then my mom finally gets up and she decides she's going to go back to work to, you know, being a dancer. And this lady moves in my home. So after my pawpaw dies, a couple weeks later, this lady's moving in my home. She does this thing to me, and then kicks me in my chest at some point before she got kicked out. And then my mom gets back with my stepdad that she was married to from the time I was 2 weeks old. They were just like always on and off. And they moved into my house, to my pawpaw's house. The house that happened to me in was once my safe place. That was where my pawpaw lived, the one that protected me. My mama lived there, my pawpaw, and that's where I was safe at. And instantly when he died, it became my hell. It became a place that, like a symbol of the dark things that happened in my life. And when my stepdad moved in there with my mom, I remember me and my sister talking about this. My mom actually made me and my sister leave. We had to go and move in with my aunt. And for me, man, that's where I probably have the resentment towards like dancers or strippers, and the resentment that I had towards my mother for a very, very long time. Me and my mother, I love her to death. I love my mom because she gave me life. But me and my mom's relationship is not really good. You know what I'm saying? I honor my mom because she gave me life, but it's not really good. We actually still to this day aren't as close as I would love to be with my mom. And especially when I think back at all this stuff, like I didn't remember that my mom had kicked me and my sister out up until today, talking to my sister. I didn't understand why we had to go and live with my Aunt Crystal, who I love to death. My Aunt Crystal took me and my sister in, so my stepdad and his 2 kids, which is my brother and sister, from my mom, can live in my safe place together as a family. And they kicked us out. And it just made me angry. All these things made me angry. So then here I am, 7 years old, and I'm living with my aunt, and my mom's nowhere to be found. I didn't see my mom, I don't know how long. but my other brothers and sisters did. Me and Crystal, we were out. You know what I'm saying? And I was just angry. I didn't like my aunt. I was disrespectful to my aunt because she was a white lady. And all I can remember is this thing happening to me. So now I got these like weird feelings about things like don't touch me. You know what I'm saying? Don't be by me. And it was strictly towards white women. You know what I'm saying? White women that were like taller than me or like too filly or too touchy. And I just had this thing. You know what I'm saying? And
That's
it
how you
really,
took control.
yeah, it really messed me up. It messed me up. And yeah, this is the first time I've actually gotten to depth, other than like I say, talking with my sister or talking to Erica about it. And the reason why I'm deciding to talk about it to you guys right now is because I know that there's other people that this has happened to on both sides, man and female, with a man and a female. And it does something to you, man. I shouldn't be sitting here right now talking to you guys. Straight up, the way that I was before, I was when I became a teenager, bro. I was trying to destroy the world. Like I wanted to burn everything and anything down that I possibly could, just to take out my rage. And nobody really knew, like, why am I so angry? They would chalk it up to, oh, well, he didn't have a dad. His dad's dead, died when he was like 3, and his mom was on drugs and she wasn't around, and his stepdad was mean to him, or his brothers and sisters was mean to him, or the neighborhood he grew up in. When really there's so much other things that was going on because of things that I experienced. And even up until the current day, like I say, realizing some of the things today, you know what I'm saying, that I realized, it literally damn near brought a tear to my eye. You know what I'm saying? So all you guys that are watching, I'm talking about this right now for you guys because I can relate. I can relate to you, and I know that it's a tough ass burden to bear, especially when you hold it in, even though it is hard and uncomfortable to talk about. Notice I really can't look at the screen because I feel like you guys are looking at me right now while I'm telling you this. And the messed up part is that's not even the worst. You know what I'm saying? That chick did. There's been worse that's happened to other people, and there's been worse that's happened to me. And it's the same kind of hurt though. It's the same kind of uncomfortable feeling that makes you just want to close in. And when you do that, I know you feel like you're protecting yourself, but doing more harm because nobody could understand why I was the way I was. Like I was if I told you the person that I was growing up, you wouldn't believe that I am me today. It caused a lot of issues in my life. Literally, it made me. People probably would have thought that I was racist. You know what I'm saying? Had I not like dated white girls that had like dark hair and dark eyes, I refused to date any white chick that had blonde hair or blue eyes. I never would. I never would. I write it off and be like, not gonna happen. And especially if they're taller than me. You know, that was just, it does something to you. So everybody that's watching this right now, um, yo, you could talk about it to somebody that's been through it. They'll understand. And I'm sorry. I apologize that if something like what happened to me happened to you, I'm sorry because I know what that feels like, and I know that pain. So yeah, I'm gonna turn it back over to you guys.
Cash, can I just can I touch on a couple of things with you guys? Just like we were talking about earlier, what parents should look for. Um, Cash, um, first of all, I'm just so proud of you for speaking on it. It's so difficult to speak about it. I completely understand that. Totally proud of you. Proud of the man that you've become. Um, and what you felt was hurt and betrayal. These are supposed to be people that are supposed to look out for you, take care of you, love you, and they let you down. Bottom line. And but what you just described is what exactly what we were talking about, what parents should be looking for. The anger, the rage, punching holes in the wall, not liking a certain type of woman. I mean,
Isolation.
yes, isolation. I mean, literally, you just described everything we were talking about. And I mean, I feel like I'm just sorry that society let you down, your family let you down. And I'm just proud of you that you came out the other side of it. I got to tell you, and now you're just helping people, not by like in so many other areas, you know, just even how you've changed your life around with other parts of your life as well. And and you know what? Just I'm just giving the glory to God because He got you out of it. He has you here with us to speak about it. Because it could have gone down. You know, when Satan gets a hold of you, of any of us, that's it. He's a lion ready to completely destroy us. And you fought it by the grace of God, and you came out the other side of it. And I'm just really proud of you. Thank you for speaking on it. But it goes to exactly what we've been talking about the signs parents should look for. And I mean, now you have kids,
Yeah.
and now you know personally. But I mean, my biggest thing is don't ever trust your who you allow into your home is so important, even if it's family. Yeah, don't be, you know, on top of them, but you got to even watch family.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone, we're human, everyone has demons, everyone does.
Well, and I also think that part of that, like being cautious, you know, when you're around family members too, but also teaching your children. Like, I know it's a loving and affectionate way. Sometimes our children hang and jump all over family members, and
No, I don't
and
play
it's
that.
well, and that's where I'm going. Like, yes, like family, we're playing, and I don't mean, how do I say? So I say affectionate. I didn't mean like, oh, you know, whatever. But I know my kids like to jump on grandpa's lap, or they like to jump or climb, like literally climb up uncles, or they pick them up and they throw them around, things like that, or you know, little stuff like that. So when I notice my kids, and this is nothing against any of my family members, nothing against anyone like that, just for me, because of what I went through and because of what I've experienced in my life, this is how I am about it. If I notice my daughter or my sons, if they're sitting on there and I'm like, yeah, get off. Even if it's okay, I'm like, yeah, I know it's okay, but I off. They don't need to sit on your lap like that, or they don't need to be that close. Or I'll pull my kids to the side. I'm like, you don't need to sit that close, and you don't need to be hanging all over them all the time. You could sit next to them, like that's fine, but you don't need to be hanging all over them. And that's
Mm-hmm.
just, you know, something to be aware of, because kids are very innocent and kids are very loving and kids are very affectionate and they like to play like that. But as parents, again, something to notice, and not saying that there's something going on or something wrong with that. Just to be aware, just to take precaution in some of these areas, because God forbid, one day it might be, you know, that one person that does that. Cash, I wanted to kind of, you yes.
Before you keep going,
Hmm.
is Joanne watching?
She is.
Okay, you know what? If you don't mind, I love y'all and everybody here watching. I love y'all. So you know what? I'm gonna do the brave thing, Joe. For you, I'm gonna do it for you. I'm gonna talk about the other one too, because that one is the one
Hi.
that like that one really made me. It made me messed up, man, for a long time, like for real. Um, when I was 4 or 5 years old, and my papa was still alive, and I was over there at that house. I had family that would be over there and all of that, and I'd be playing in the basement, and they called it like playing, hide and seek. You know how you do, and this is what's so crazy. This wasn't like a adult. It was a teenager, but I was young. You know what I'm saying? And yeah. So no, you're fine. You can stay. Um, did like touching and making you touch and just like some homo stuff. You feel me? And as a kid, like at that point in time, I was at 4 or 5 years old. I was a scared kid because I dealt with abuse, like physical abuse, from my stepfather because I was black, and he was Mexican, and they didn't look at me like I was the only black kid in my family. Everybody else was white and Mexican, and these things, they happen, and I wasn't living with my papa and them, but I would go over there, and all the family would be over there, and stuff would happen, and it happened. This I ain't never said, but it happened like maybe 3, 4 times. You know what I'm saying? And it came to a point where I didn't want to go over to my papa's house no more. I'd rather stay and deal with my abuse that I got when I was staying with my stepfather. Like, I'd rather get beat up than to go over there, And it made me I was homophobic for a really, really long time. And, growing up past that, when that stuff happened with the lady, what made me think like to not move when I woke up to this lady later on down the road doing these things to me, it was like, let me just go ahead and be real. All right. 5 years old, 4 years old, when something like that happens from a dude, it makes you, at me, at 4 or 5 years old, question things. It made me question myself, like I was scared. And I'm like, does this make me gay now or something? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it made me angry. And it made me very sad. I was sad as hell. And so when the lady did it and she was grown, even though I knew that it was a wrong thing that was happening to me, I was like, this is a girl. You know what I'm saying? And that experience, like, I didn't like what happened to me with that chick, but at the same time, I don't know, being young and already turned on to things, it was like okay in a sense. I don't know, it's weird. But after that experience that happened when I was young, growing up, it made me completely, like, I couldn't be around a gay person. It made me not want to be around a gay person, and anybody that was a gay person that I was around, I thought automatically was a pedophile. I viewed them like they were going to try to touch a kid, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe they had already touched a kid. And it caused a lot of issues. Like, I'm not proud to say this, but I've beat up, people that was gay before because of what happened to me, and me just thinking like this, you're gay, that means you touch kids, you know what I'm saying? And just had this fierce anger towards them. And it also made me very promiscuous when I was a teenager because I had like a point to prove to myself, or like within me, like, that's not me. I didn't want that to happen to me. And because it happened, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would look at somebody, if you like boys, then that means you gay. And at that time, that was a big thing. If somebody called you gay, you ready to fight. You know what I'm saying? Back then. And so, yeah, I started this, I lost my virginity, not, to that chick that did that to me when I was a kid, but I lost my virginity willingly at the age of like 12. You know what I'm saying? 12 years old. And after that, it was just like, I got to keep on doing this and get all the girls to like me, and I got to like them, you know what I'm saying? And have to be the manliest man in the room. So I got into multiple fights. I was just ready, looking for a reason to show my manliness, you know what I'm saying? Because of what happened to me when I was that young. And I held so much resentment. Like, I was just like, for it happened twice, you know what I'm saying? And I just had this bias. Like, not only did I not like gays, not only did I not like white guys, like I was prejudiced toward white guys. I did not like white guys. If they had a certain look to them, if they looked like like I in my mind created the look of a pedophile.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, in my mind. And like I would target them. I would target if I seen that, and then they happen to be gay. Like I would be on them, man, ready to make them feel like how I felt when I was that young. You know what I'm saying? Just scared, and it was nuts. And it wasn't until maybe, I don't know, just not that long ago, not too many years ago, that I got over my homophobia. I could not be around gay people. They made me feel uncomfortable, and I felt like I had to be disrespectful to them. And yeah, like transgender, I did not like them. I felt the same way. There was this transvestite that walked around my neighborhood named Candy, and I would always be like on high alert because I was a kid, and it was the same time that this stuff had happened to me. And I would see Candy, this big old dude that was, dressed like a female, transgender, walking around the hood in high heels, and he scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I was young, I was really little, and he just scared me, and I just never wanted to be around him. And my mom was friends with him because he was a crackhead too. And my mom would be talking to this dude, and I just would not want to say anything. Like I couldn't talk to him. I couldn't say hi. My mom would say hi. I'm like, I couldn't, and I would just go away. Like I don't want to be around him, and it freaked me out. And then my stepdad didn't make things any better. Like if I would, like the reason I would have a problem with like crying, I never would cry in front of people because my stepdad, if I got soft in any way, he'd be like, stop acting like a fag, so like, don't quit being don't quit that gay shit, or, something like that. And it made me feel like, okay, I can't cry. I can't show that I'm upset or like scared. I can't be sad, so I had to be tough.
Right.
I just had to be tough, and I carried that with me, literally, just up until now. I still fight with it today. It's like that. Like I'm way better. I don't look at gay people and think them same thoughts no more. I'm comfortable with myself. I know who I am. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that people that are gay are pedophiles. I know better than that now because my cousin, I got a cousin that's homosexual, and I got friends that are transgender. I got people that are close to me that are these things, and I don't look at them for what happened to me. That's what I did. Like I internalized it, and yeah, I don't do that no more. But it really, really fucked me or messed me up, man. It messed me up beyond belief. I hated it. I hated people, and I was mean, and I treated women like with such disrespect, especially white women with blonde hair. Like I was, and men. If I felt like somebody was trying to be dominant over me, I got in more fights than I could count, and I'm known for that out where I come from. I'm known. They called me Cujo or Taz. I had them two names, and I was known for just wrecking people. You know what I'm saying? And fighting constantly. I was crazy. And people knew that if they were gay, not to be around me. If people had gay friends, like, don't bring them around me, or I'm gonna make them cry. And I was a horrible person to them people because of what happened to me. So yeah, man, that stuff, like talking about it, it makes me feel a little bit better to talk about it, I guess. But it don't take away like I'm talking about it and it's like welling up in me, and I'm fighting, you know what I'm saying, myself. Because you don't want to show that,
That's what happens. You gotta let it go somehow. And the more that we hold on to it and the more that we don't talk about it, the more it sits and festers. And even though we think we're healing from it, or even we think with these things, we're not, because those are things we have to talk about and deal with and understand and realize and accept that we're not alone, and accept that we're not the only ones, and accept that it wasn't our fault, or that that doesn't define who we are today. It doesn't define who we choose to be. It doesn't define who you created to be. It doesn't mean that you are defective. It is absolutely the opposite of all those things. And I'm gonna cry. I don't talk about my shit. One day I will, and I dance around it. I dance around my shit. But I have my story. But I always tell myself when I hear other people or when I know, like, oh, mine's not as bad as theirs, so I'm all right.
It's all the same pain, lady. No matter how bad it is, it's the same pain.
So my point is that, you know, we're all not alone. I did want to ask you real quick because it was, you mentioned there were many of you that it happened to, and that you guys were all in a basement, or you guys hung out in the basement?
No, we were in the basement of my papa's house, the house that I grew up in, the house that I lived in until I was homeless at 14 years old.
And it happened to you guys at the same time in that basement.
Yep, it happened to me and my other cousin. It happened to both of us at the same time.
So you guys had to watch each other.
This is the crazy thing too. Like, we got told. What's even more crazy was the person that it was that did it, because as messed up as it is, like, I looked up to this person, and I had like a love for this person, like my whole life. Was my big cuz, you know what I'm saying? And we were terrified of him, but at the same time, thought he was the coolest dude in the world.
Right.
Like, he told us if we ever said anything that, you know, he'll make it bad for us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we never spoke on it. My other cousin still hasn't spoke on it. I don't think he ever will. I'm not going to say his name, but I don't think he ever will because of who it was. And it, just know that no matter what family it is, man, you got to keep an eye on your kids at all times, whether it be uncles, aunts, cousins, brothers, sisters. You got to keep an eye on things, man, and don't force people to be around people after they tell you things. You know what I'm saying? If somebody tells you something, if a kid comes up and tells you something, listen to that kid. No matter if you think they're lying or they're not lying, like, don't ever do that. Don't ever just assume that they're making up a story and then write them off and then force them to be around that person. And if you do bring it out and ask that person and they say, no, that's never happened, they're lying or whatever, then, yo, don't make that kid be around the person that they are accusing, because that causes even more damage. Like, you'll force that kid to believe that they don't have anybody and that it's okay for things to happen to them and that it doesn't matter, that they don't matter. And it'll cause a deep sadness and an overwhelming anger, and it could cause a terror into the world, because I was just that. I was a terror at one point in time in the world. I didn't know how to talk about this. What I'm talking to you guys about right now, this is the first time ever in my life that I'm talking to somebody or people, just a whole bunch of people that's watching this right now. I'm talking to a bunch of people about something that happened to me that I can never talk about, even to my mother or anybody outside of, like, my sister, you know, or my significant other, you know, and even then I didn't even get as detailed as I just did right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what, Cash? Again, I mean, I'm just really proud of you that you had the courage, you know, and God gave you the strength to talk about it. And maybe one day, maybe even later on today or in a day or two, you might have found today therapeutic for you. You know what I mean? Now that you've spoken about it one time, because your voice and your testimony can possibly be helping someone right now watching, or a parent who is seeing signs in their child. And I think that is very helpful, you know, hearing from someone.
My message to anybody that's watching that's a male, any males that happen to watch this right now, look, I look, and even young, if young people are watching this right now, I that kind of stuff, especially when it happens with somebody that's the same sex as you, it makes you think crazy things, man. But you got to understand that as a child, things that happen to you that you have no control over as a child doesn't define you. You don't have to accept what you think because your thoughts will be all over the place because it's coming from a place of hurt emotions. Like you're feeling things like shame and guilt and all types of stuff. Don't let that make you think that you're someone that you're not. You be who you want to be and who God designed you to be. And don't let nothing break you. That was my thing. I told myself when I hit like, I'll say 10, 9 or 10 years old, that I wasn't going to let nothing in life break me because at that point, at the age of 10, man, I don't went through it all. Like I've seen people shot dead. I've been molested multiple times. I've been abused since I could walk. I've been called every racial slur by my own family. I've been stole from. I've been hungry. I've been just a lot. I've been a lot of things at that point. I told myself I'm never gonna break. I felt like life was trying to break me. And I told myself that God had me and I trusted in God. Like I was angry at God, but I trusted that God had me because I made it.
Right.
The beatings didn't break me. I was still able to get up. The what happened to me with the molestation didn't break me. I was still able to find love and create children and raise them right and do right by them and protect them. The racial slurs didn't make me any less proud to be the man that I am. Nothing will break you unless you let it. You
Exactly.
just keep on going. You are not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts, man. You are what you believe yourself to be in your heart. The thoughts come to attack that. That's why they make you sad because you know that's not who you are. And I had to understand that the thoughts
Yeah.
only make me upset and only made me sad and angry because I know that that's not who I am. I knew that that's not what I wanted to happen. So you are not your thoughts. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So take that with you and don't let nothing break you. You are unbreakable. So yeah.
I was going to bring Joe on, but I don't think it's going to happen. Joe is one of our guests. She has an amazing story. I seen a comment on here saying that people who do that are selfish and sick. And yeah, for the most part, but and this might not be a popular thought or a popular perspective, but sometimes those people are also or were also victims and they're also hurting and
Love you too. Jonteshia,
You there?
she froze up on us. Jonteshia is experiencing some technical difficulties.
Okay.
So we're gonna keep this rolling right now. And yeah, so go ahead, Nikki, take the floor.
Cash, I just we've been, talking about. I mean, I'm obviously, me and what I've done, and I have my own story as well. That's for another time. It was, something that had happened, in my marriage, actually, when I was married at a young age. But to go back and talk about some things that you mentioned that you talked about. I mean, the a, a huge part in that, parents, you're aware of your children, who they're around,
Mm-hmm.
who babysits them, things like that. And unfortunately, your grandfather died when you were young. I mean, I know the story, we've talked, but unfortunately your mom had to work or whatever, and at that time she wasn't thinking clearly. And I know what Jonteshia was going to say. She was going to say sometimes people are victims themselves, so therefore they molest other children. And I understand that, but you're also given a choice.
Exactly.
When you're an adult, you can say, you know what? I mean, what I talked about last week, I went to a conference out east, but in Stark County, LaPorte
Yeah.
County area. Okay. And it was a guy who was in prison, and he was talking about the grooming process. About 8 months prior, he started grooming the mother and like would do things to her car. She was a single mom, so that way he can get to the little girl. Well, I guess from my perspective, even if you were molested, you know that, you're aware of it, there comes a point where God is going to give you a choice.
Yeah.
You can either take this route, go get help, or you're going to take this route and molest other children.
Exactly. And you know what? It definitely comes down to a choice, because that's it. Three things happen. I say 3 things happen from that when something like that happens to someone. Either you become a child molester, you become a hater and like a wannabe destroyer of child molesters,
Yeah.
or you just forgive and move forward. And myself, I haven't got to the point where I just forgave and moved forward. Like I've moved forward, and I guess I've kind of forgave. I've kind of forgave, but not really. Like, because the person that did that to me, that was a man. He passed away horribly, horribly,
Oh, okay.
and I was happy. It was like retribution, but then being a grown man now, I look back and I'm like, he wasn't a grown man. You know what I'm saying? That person that did that to me, he wasn't grown. He was a teenager, and something had to have happened to him. Now that I look back at it, you know what I'm saying? And it's messed up. Like, I hate to say, like, I felt bad the way that he passed, but I felt like that was a sense of justice, like, from God. I don't know. It's messed up, but I feel bad that it happened the way that it did. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And for the lady, like, I forgive the lady. I do. I forgive the lady. I forgive the dude. I do. I forgive them both. But it's like I hold a anger towards my mom, not even so much the lady,
Yeah. Yeah.
because the lady was a drug addict, prostitute, stripper, already psycho. You know what I'm saying? So I would have never let someone like that around my child. Never in a million years. Never. And my mom did. So that's where I hold that resentment towards my mom, even though I love her and I forgive her. I forgive my mom, but it's like I just don't got like I don't got that trust in my mom. Like, in my mind, my mom's gonna let me down. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And another thing I wanted to say, man, is when something like that happens, it made me I won't leave my kids with, since my kids were born up until, I'll say, maybe this year. And my oldest kid is 13 years old. Okay. I will not leave my children with anyone.
Right.
Nobody except for my sister and mother together. Because I wouldn't leave them with just my mom.
Right.
My sister and my mother. And by the way, my mom's a lot better now. She's a great grandmother. She wasn't the best mom, but she's a fantastic grandmother. But I wouldn't leave my kids with them. I've never left my kids with a babysitter. Never.
Right.
I've never done it. up until this year. This year, I have left them with. I let them stay the night at Jacob. Like my older brother. He's got daughters. His wife. They love him. They're like godparents basically. But and even then, it's like I'm calling all the time. And the thing was that I said is that I will never let my kids go anywhere until they're able to fully have a conversation with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I talk to my kids about everything. I
Yeah.
break it down to my kids and tell them if anybody ever does this, you got to tell daddy. You won't be in trouble. All the things that I was scared about, I talk to them about and tell them you will never be in trouble about anything that you ever tell daddy. And I got to know so I can protect you. You know what I'm saying? If anybody ever gives you a hug or anybody tries to give you a kiss and anything else outside, like you got to tell daddy that. And that's just me telling them that for when I'm sending them to school. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't, not even a babysitter because I won't let nobody watch them. You know, it's just like go to school or even when you go to church or you're in Sunday school class or anywhere.
Yeah.
When you go over to grandma's or your uncles or whatever, anywhere. You got to tell me while I'm there. Like I'm telling them, if we're going to hang out somewhere, yo, listen, you got to stay by me. You don't talk to no adult. You don't go up and hug nobody. I ain't with none of that stuff. It bothers me. But I make them know that it's a safe place for them to come and talk to me. My daughters are they're close to me. They'll tell me anything. Like the wind blows them in the face and knocks a bow out of their hair. And they're like, Dad, the wind. I'm like, I got you.
Cash, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do your kids know about what happened to you or no?
No.
Okay.
Nope. You guys, literally no one except for Erica.
Everyone now.
Yeah, Erica and my sister were really the only two people that I ever got a little detailed with. Other people know that something has happened to me.
Yeah.
You know, like they could say, well, he's been molested before, whatever, but they don't know how, the nature of it, what happened. I've never opened up about it at all, except to them two people.
Okay.
That's it. And now to everybody on here.
Okay. I was just wondering, because they're getting a little bit older now and can understand a little bit better, you know.
One day I'm gonna talk to them about it. It actually is starting to have to come up because of a situation that you guys seen a while back.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it happened, so we had to break things down to them a little bit, and I just didn't want to get into it too detailed with them yet because especially with my sons. My sons look at me like, Dad's invincible and nothing has ever happened to Dad, and he's, you know what I'm saying?
You
I don't
know,
know.
kids, gosh, the one thing I've learned in doing this all these years is even when it's parents doing this to their children, whether it's a boy or a girl, the kids, most of the kids that I've encountered, their number one question was, is my mom or dad going to go to jail? They were always concerned and still loved their parents no matter what. And the parents, and a lot of them are incest.
That's like a whole nother
Yeah.
level of messed up, man. Like,
Right. Yeah. And kids, and we've had, I had some victims that were, adult victims that she felt like her dad was her boyfriend. It was very, very, very disturbing. He was convicted. He's in prison for life. But she did not know any other way. We had pictures during trial of her sitting on her dad's lap and thinking it's okay. They were taking pictures as boyfriend and girlfriend.
that's not good.
I know that's way off topic, but the only reason I'm asking you that, Cash, is because your kids are going to they already think you're a hero and they love you more than anything. They're going to feel and think even more highly of you. Just something to keep in the back of your mind, just because.
That scares me with my daughters, because I'm not with their mother.
Right.
Araya, Kira, and Cammy and Nanas. Cammy and Nanas got a different mother. Araya and Kira got a different mother. Araya and Kira are my two older girls, and it always worried me, which is why when me and their mother separated like 4 years ago, that's why I took my kids, because I didn't feel comfortable leaving them, even with their mom, with her living how she wanted to live at the time. And I don't trust people, and I'm not okay with a woman bringing a man into the home that she doesn't know, and he has no ties to the family or anything like that, and he's got a drug problem, alcohol problem. I'm not okay with, my daughter. I flipped out. I ain't gonna lie, I flipped out one day because I seen her on Facebook. She got with a new dude, and she got my daughter sitting on this dude's lap. Even today, you can go
Yeah.
on pictures, and it blew me up because the dude, I had found out. She was with me actually when we found out that while he was a teenager, like 17, 16, tried to have sexual intercourse with an 11-year-old girl. And that made me flip. And I'm like, okay, nah, that's not happening.
Mm.
I'm not doing it. And me and this dude has never really liked each other. And because of it, because of that, and me seeing him, like how he tries to be with my daughters, and particularly one of my daughters, I snapped. And like one day I just, I made him know that he can't never be around my kids anymore.
Right.
And I've kept my kids, with me. I'm skeptical now because now they're not together anymore, and what she says, and I'm skeptical about it because not only that, the dude's violent, beats up women, he's a drunk, doesn't work. He's like, to me, he fits the profile of somebody who would do something sick because he's done a lot of sick stuff in his life, and he doesn't try to be a man at all.
Mhm.
So I'm battling that right now. Like I love when my kids are happy, and I want them to be able to be over there with their mom and feel safe and comfortable and all of that. Not just them, my boys too. I want them to all be able to feel safe. But when I have these thoughts because of things that's happened in my life, and then I see that all the things, not just things of hearing about molestation, but all the things that happen, that can happen when alcohol is involved, and you guys, they're fighting or whatever, anything can happen. So I was like, I can't send my kids over there, but I want them to see their mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're literally going at it over right now. She's texting my phone now.
Right.
And I don't know, man. All of that contributes, all of that kind of stuff, man. And I'll be damned if something like that ever happened to my kids. I'm telling you, I'd go to prison. I would go to prison because I would do things that were more cash, like back in, say like 2005.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to risk that. And not just that, like, I could care about my own freedom. I don't want to risk my daughters living with the kind of trauma that I lived with, and have them feel any of the things that I feel, from that. That pain is everlasting. You know what I'm saying? And I never want them to experience that. So I'm like super overprotective over them. And I don't know. I guess I get painted off as like this bogus, baby daddy that doesn't want to let the mom see the kids, when really, like, I'm trying to protect them, and she knows that.
Yeah.
I've had to go over there like 6-7 times. Whenever I do let them go over there, it ends up bad after like 3-4 days, and I got to go back over there and get my kids, and then she don't see them for however long. She says she's doing good this time. I hope to God she is.
Right.
Because of my trauma and my past experience with things that happened in my life, and then things that happened with, over there with the whole situation, hearing things about him, I don't want him around my daughters. Period.
But I think that's why, like, again, bringing it back to education, bringing it back to educating people, bringing it back to sharing our story, bringing it back to letting people know that they're not alone, that they're not the only ones, but also encouraging parents, right? Like, to be on guard, to be cautious, to be aware, and not to let things sweep under the rug, because at the end of the day, like, it's a cycle, you know what I mean? Like, it's a generational curse that continues to go and go and go and go and go. But what people don't understand or realize, or maybe they don't believe it, is that they have the power within themselves. They have the power within themselves. That's fine, Cash. To stop.
You can finish first and then drop me out.
Okay. We have the power within ourselves to stop that curse, to stop that cycle. It just takes bravery, and it takes courage, and it takes commitment to do those things, because being a parent and being a responsible person on this earth is exhausting. It's not easy. It's supposed to be hard. Life is beautiful and it's worth living. But if you're not willing to put in the work, then what are you doing? So we're here to help each other, to learn and to grow.
That's a very good question down there from Bonnie. Said, I don't see how we get past it and trust people again. It's hard. I have some of the worst trust issues to this day. And if you don't believe me, ask anybody that knows me. Straight up, ask anybody that knows me, even Erica. And Erica's like probably the closest person to me. And she'll tell you, like, I even have issues trusting her sometimes with certain things, because I don't know, man. It's like I couldn't.
It's your sense of control right there.
Yeah.
You like to do everything yourself because it's your sense of control, and once it gets beyond you, it feels like chaos, and then it starts to and then you start to freak out because you're not controlling it.
I do.
That is a normal side effect.
And because of my stepdad, like, you know how most people when they get like a fear of something, they will like kind of maybe look like they're sad, or mine comes out in anger, or I get enclosed into myself. If I don't get angry and I'm not lashing out, then I sit inside myself. I turn myself off from the world. Literally, like, I won't go on Facebook. I won't answer phone calls. And if I do jump on Facebook, then I put on a mask, like I wear a smile, and then I get done, and then I go right back into my shell until I get myself out of it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm getting better at it. Like I am. I'm getting better at it with all of you guys. Jonteshia, you, Erica helps me out, Nikki, you, Anthony, all of the sum of all parts cast. Like you guys help me. I talk to all of you guys individually at different times. And I feel like I've gotten, I never had nobody I felt like that I could trust, because everybody that I did put my trust in has let me down, literally let me down, either betrayed me or used what I said against me. Like this, the reason why I wouldn't talk about the things that I talked about today is because I never wanted them to be used against me. You know what I'm saying? I would think like if I tell my girl this, then she'll look at me and be like, when we fighting or something, like, that's why you a fag.
Right, like you're less a man, yeah.
Yeah, and then I would flip out, you know what I'm saying? So I've been working on that trust, and it goes deep, man. You don't even know the depth of how, like, certain things, when things happen, like, you won't eat certain foods. I won't eat certain foods to this day, literally. I can't. And if I do, like, I'll throw up. You know what I'm saying? It goes that deep. It's a real hard thing. So to trust people, it's like I can't barely get past, eating this sandwich. You know what I'm saying? So it's all work. It's all work. But the main thing is to forgive you. Like, understand that you didn't do it. It's not your fault. You're just dealing with something that happened to you. And you are not the thoughts that come with that pain, that anger, that sadness, and the thoughts that come with those emotions. That is not you. That's not me. Who I am, I'm a man. I'm a good man. I'm a good father. I got a big heart. I try to be forgiving. I want to be forgiving. I want to be compassionate. I want to have mercy. I want to smile. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to judge people based off of their sexual orientation. I don't want to judge people off of the way that they look. I don't want to be anything that I was when I felt what I was feeling. Because that's not who I am.
And you know what the other thing is for you and for other people is to try not to let it define you. It's something that happened to you, but it's not who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there are, and we can get into it because I know this is like a mini series. We can get into, because I know somebody's question. We can get into tools and how there are tools that we use to help us get through things like this.
Yes.
And we can get to that part, before this little mini series is over. But it just, we're trying not to let it define us, right? It's something that happened to you, but you're still Cash Kelly. You're still Jonteshia. I'm
Ugh.
still Nikki.
See, I get caught up right now. I'm like, I'm getting lost in myself, just thinking about stuff. That's why, like, it's hard. I know, to
Yeah.
everybody watching, I know if it's happened to you, I know it's hard to talk about. And I'm like having to literally re-break myself out of this stuff, because when you start thinking about it, man, I'm getting lost, and these things where I bite my nails or I'm biting my lip, and I'm noticing I'm doing it, and I'm catching it because it's okay.
It is okay.
And it's
Yeah.
in the past. It's not now.
Right.
You know?
Right. And you know what? And the thing that I try to circle back to, I think the three of us do on this panel, is prayer. Try to stay focused on God. Once I take my eyes off of God, that's it. I'm like completely, then at the end of the day or the end of the week, I'm like, okay, I do like a checklist in my mind. Was I in my Bible? Did I pray? Did I have my quiet time? You see what I mean? And then if I'm like, no, 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 then I know why I'm all disheveled,
Yeah.
So
Ladies, hey, I love you guys, and I really appreciate you, Jonteshia. This is a great thing that you're doing. Serenity now is really going to help a lot of people, and it already is. You just helped me. And Joanna, if you're watching backstage, I appreciate you, and I hope that you get the closure and the everything that you need for you. And when you're ready, we're all going to be here. Like I'm believe me, I'm with you. This is nerve wracking. Look at my hands.
oh my goodness.
It's nerve wracking for me to sit here. This is not a normal talk for me. To me, I'm charismatic, and I'm coming at you guys with some positivity, and I'm talking about other things. This is out of my element. But I did it specifically for the people like Joanne and for Joanne. This is for you, because I talked to you last night, and I know.
It's just Joe.
Oh, Joe, when I talked to you last night, I told myself I had to do this, and it was like everything was trying to get me to not do this today. Literally, my computer's been messing up. It's messing up right now still, and I made it a point to get on here and do this because there's a lot more people out there like you and like me, and that's been through it and that are gonna get it. And each story helps somebody else understand that they're not alone, and you can make it through. You could be you and be something great in being you. I never thought that I would have what I got going on right now going on, and nobody would have ever known the things that I've been through.
Right.
That had way before this, that led up to the man being here now. So the people that everybody say is, how they call me and say, Cash, you're great, or we believe in you and we love your message, up until all of this stuff. Now hearing this stuff, just connecting more with people.
Right.
Connecting more with somebody that's going through the same things, and let other people know that are on that same road. Like, look, man, it don't matter what you go through. If you decide not to quit, and you decide not to let it define you, and you decide to be unbreakable, the sky is the limit, man. Don't let nothing hold you back. Nothing.
Yeah. And you know what the other thing is, God will bless you for it. That's number one. But Satan was trying to do everything to keep you off this program today. So you know what? But yeah, thanks, Cash. It was
No
awesome.
problem. I love you guys. Y'all have a great
too.
day. Jonteshia, I'll talk to you a little bit later. Nikki, I'll call you a little bit later too. I love you guys.
Love you too.
I love you.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna cry.
I know. Yeah.
Go ahead, Nikki. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I have some thoughts that I want to share after as well.
Okay.
Whatever you want to leave them with for today, Nikki, go for it.
Just for today, I'm just really grateful that Cash got on and told us his testimony. Talked a little bit about him with that in the past. So I'm really happy that God gave him the courage to do that. And just be aware of your surroundings, and try to not be so guarded that you're living in fear, but just always be careful. That's what I do. And I'm just where I go. Hi, Chris. Where I go, what I do, and things like that.
Hi.
And that's it. But thanks, Jonteshia, and I think we're going to do another program on this, right? So, okay. See you later.
Thank you, Nikki, for everything. I appreciate it.
I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
All right. So first, I want to say thank you to everyone who has stayed with us. We actually did not intend to stay on this long, but sometimes you got to give a topic and a subject its time to really dig into it and to really get it apart and to really get to the meat of it. I'm gonna cry. We will be this series isn't over. There'll be at least 2 more over the next couple of weeks. We will have at least 2 more episodes. One of them will be about tools, how to move forward. It will also touch on encouragement and uplifting and how to take captive your thoughts and how to forgive, how to move forward. Now, are those things easy? No, they're not easy. They're never really going to be easy, but they are worth it and they will grow. And one thing that came to me many times listening to Cash and seeing all of the comments and you guys sharing and you guys uplifting each other and being there for each other. And one of the main things really is that we're not alone. You're not alone. This has not happened to just you. And some of the craziest things that I remember is that, a few kids, this could be happening to a few kids in the same home, and those kids won't even know it. Why? Because they're too scared to share. And maybe they don't even realize how wrong it is. And so they're not talking about it. Or maybe they know a little bit, but they're not talking about it. And their siblings don't know. Like, that's how crazy it is. But you're not alone. This life was not meant for you to live alone. We were created for connection. We were created to be understood and to hear each other. We were created to sharpen each other, to share our experiences and everything that we learned so that we can help other people. That was why we were created. Well, one of the reasons to love God with all our hearts and all our minds and all our souls and to give him glory. We are his glory on earth. And when we help each other and when we walk in love, then we are examples of that glory. So there's that. But he didn't create us to be by ourselves. He created us to help each other, to grab each other by the hands and walk us through, to help us heal, to let go of things, to listen to each other and be there for each other. There are all sorts of resources out there for you. Please reach out and grab them. Thank you again for sharing. I'm sure I have so much more to say if I'm a little emotional. So my brains are a little jumbled. So thank you so much for joining us. Yes, typically Wednesdays. Oh, that's what I was going to announce. So I'm noticing that I'm having some schedule conflicts during the day with the kids' schooling and making sure that their work is all done and getting this coming on time. So I'm going to have to reassess the days, but it will most likely be towards the evening. I hope you guys can still join us, and I will let you guys know what day and time Serenity now is going to change to. Period. As far as the series goes, I say without a doubt at least 2 more episodes. You guys let me know in the comments if there's more on this subject that we haven't touched yet. The next thing I'm hoping to touch on tools and coping mechanisms and ways to stay positive and how to let go and the uplifting, powerful stuff connected to this subject. That will hopefully be the next one. I also have some other ideas of segments surrounding this topic, but not the meat of it. So keep an eye out for that as well. Again, I just want to say thank you so much for being here, for sharing your stories in the comments. I see them. I might not be able to answer some of them or respond to them right away, but we see them and we appreciate all of you who share and all of your hearts and for uplifting each other in the comments. Again, if you go back, I'll try and share it again, but there are resources. If you go to uniquefoundation.org, they host, it's called the Haven Retreat. It is for survivors of child sexual abuse before they were 18. It's free for the week. You just got to get there. You just got to fill out an application, and they will teach you coping mechanisms. They will help you process and go through that. And then defendinnocence.org is also an organization to help prevent, to help educate parents in how to bring up the topic in the home. I posted a link for the CDC on statistics on sexual abuse. We all suffer when we suffer. So we suffer together. We uplift each other together. Just know I love you, and I'm thankful for you. You're not alone. Reach out. Until next time, I'll see you soon.